Da 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 da. Hi there.
Wild like wild.
Hello, welcome to the Wild Review. I'm the Wild Reviewer, and welcome back to another fantastic episode of Rewild, the only show on the internet. Today we got an interesting one. So the main purpose of the show is to look back at some of the older Wild Review episodes and see if my opinion on the topic I was talking about still holds up. I'm specifically looking towards more of season 1 to 3 of the Wild Review, and if you want to know why those specific seasons, you can check out the first episode. I go into detail about it very clearly. Today we're going to break those rules though, and we're actually going to look at an episode from season 5 of the Wild Review, which I believe came out either at the end of 2017 or the beginning of 2018. Either way, whichever year it came out, it was part of season 5, so it was one of the later seasons when the whole story I was trying to tell with the Wild Review, the character persona I was playing, that's no longer a thing at this point in the show. I was completely being myself. You can even tell I was being myself because this is one of those genuine reviews where I'm sitting in a chair talking about a film, and I kind of look the same way I do now. I don't age. Today we are taking a look back at my Star Wars Last Jedi review. It has been a good number of years since I first saw The Last Jedi. I have since seen it a few times. I think I saw it one other time after I did my review on it. But I definitely have some thoughts. I did see Rise of Skywalker. That came out in 2019. I actually think that was the last film that I saw in theaters before the theaters completely shut down for obvious reasons. And it wasn't until I saw Rise of Skywalker when my thoughts about Star Wars as a whole, the Star Wars new trilogy, the Disney trilogy, that's when all those thoughts really started to come together for me to have my opinion on what I thought about the new trilogy. If you're a big Star Wars fan, you are definitely probably on the fence with these films. They aren't superb, but at the same time, they are not horrible, though some people would probably disagree with me. Believe it or not, like a lot of these Wild Reviews I'm looking back on, I have not seen many of these videos since they were put out. And I gotta be honest, I thought when I originally did this one, I was being very nice to it. I had this strange memory of me saying it was okay, it was an alright film. Well, that opinion has definitely changed now. I got a few new things to say about The Last Jedi. But let's look back and see if this even holds up. Let's see if what I had to say back then is the same way I feel now about The Last Jedi. And keep in mind, this was filmed either a few days or a week after I had saw The Last Jedi. I probably mentioned it in the video itself, but I do know that this was filmed pretty recently when I saw the film. So my thoughts are still kind of fresh here. So without a further ado, let's check out the Wild review of The Last Jedi review. It's a review on a review. Review time! So I just want to put this out there before I start this video. If you haven't seen Star Wars by now, then don't watch this. This is gonna be full of spoilers. Well, I'm a very considerate person, aren't I? Giving everybody the spoiler warning. Should I do that now? I am talking about something that will contain spoilers. So if you haven't seen The Last Jedi, which came out in 2017, just spoilers, okay? Just letting you know. There are spoilers in this episode, so I would just keep that in mind. Oh yeah, this is the first Rewild video I'm doing that has a Wild Review intro in it. So this is the season 5 intro of the Wild Review. I think we're gonna see some intros later on as we do this project. I always thought it'd be interesting to do an intro for the Wild Review. The song, of course, is Wildlife by Alex and Alex. I just thought that was a really cool song. I liked it so much that I made it the theme song for the Wild Review. Yeah, I did that. Star Wars. I'm actually not that big of a Star Wars geek. If you had to place me in a certain fan group or fandom, I'd be more of the Doctor Who fandom because I have a better understanding of that. Star Wars, I know a lot, but I'm slowly learning more. I've only seen episode 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and I also saw Rogue One last year. And I didn't talk about it because I didn't really think it deserved to be talked about. I plan on seeing the other spin-offs that they do, as well as episode 9. I have not seen the prequels yet, but I'm being told that they are pretty bad. Haha! This is different! So at this point, I've seen episode 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and Rogue One. You plan on seeing other spin-off films and the prequels. You even claim that the prequels are bad. Well, guess what? Guess what I've done? I have since seen every Star Wars film except Solo, and the Clone Wars, and the Clone Wars series, and the stuff Disney Plus has been putting out, like the animated stuff. But I've seen The Mandalorian. I have seen The Mandalorian. That is a great show. So I've seen the prequels, I've seen the original trilogy, I've seen the new trilogy, and I did see Rogue One. I've seen The Mandalorian, and that is all the Star Wars stuff that I've seen. I plan on watching the Clone Wars movie and the Clone Wars series pretty soon, and I might even check Solo out. I wasn't really interested when it first came out, that's why I didn't see it. But you mentioned that the prequels are bad, and let me tell you this, let me make this clear. They are pretty bad, but 3 is the best one out of all of them. I think we can all agree episode 3 is probably the best out of the trilogy. Episode 1 is horrendous for a number of reasons. Episode 2 is okay. There's a lot of memorable moments in episode 2, but episode 3 for sure it's definitely the more Star Wars-like film in this early Star Wars trilogy. I really enjoy it. Oh, the holiday special. I have not seen the holiday special in full either, but I have seen the Lego holiday special that came out last year. That's all I'm saying on that. To kind of refresh what my thought was about The Force Awakens, I thought it was pretty good. Keep in mind, though, The Force Awakens was actually the first Star Wars movie I've ever seen. I knew that, C-3PO and R2-D2 and Leia and Luke Skywalker, Darth Vader, Han Solo, they were the main characters in the first trilogy, which was episodes 4, 5, and 6. Force Awakens, I went in there as a blank slate, not watching any of the Star Wars movies. And I thought it was pretty good. Yeah, this one I wasn't lying about. I did grow up with Star Wars. The school I went to and the group of friends that I had, all of them were big Star Wars geeks. But I was never into Star Wars. I never watched it. I think I gave it a chance once and then I just kind of pushed it to the side because I wasn't interested. And it really wasn't until high school when I really got into Star Wars, when I started watching all the films. The Force Awakens was my first Star Wars film. I know, probably not the best film to start off a franchise with, but it was my first Star Wars film I've seen. It was very easy for me to identify the characters though, because of course I know Leia and Luke and the droids. I know all those characters. I knew the characters, I just didn't really know the story from start to finish. So that one I wasn't lying about. But I've seen all of them now, so it's okay. The Last Jedi, I'll admit, I'll agree with my friend after talking with him tonight about what we thought. It's not the best. It's definitely got flaws. So I was smart. I even knew back then that it was not the best. It's not even okay. It is not good at all. I think The Last Jedi is the worst in the new trilogy, without a doubt. And your comment, it's got flaws. It's got more than just flaws, buddy. So rather than what I did with the Hey Arnold Jungle movie and basically everything else that I do, where I basically go scene by scene talking about the movie, I'm instead going to talk about what I liked and what I didn't like. Alright, now here's the bit where I talk about things that I like and don't like about The Last Jedi. So let's see if this stuff really holds up. Why doesn't it look like the table is all in the shot? Play with this. Does it look like it's in the shot? I'm sorry, I had to break the fourth wall for a second. I just wanted to make sure that we can see everything. I'm sorry I left wherever I decided to put myself in today's episode. I truly hope I'm smart enough to put myself in space for this episode, seeing that this is a very space-themed episode. I mean, look at that. Does this look like space? The first thing that I thought was pretty good was Mark Hamill, who plays Luke Skywalker. There's a thing about him that I didn't like, which I'm going to touch upon with the stuff that I didn't like about the film, but if I had to say one thing about Mark Hamill is he definitely did not lose touch with his character. I genuinely think that the way that he portrayed Luke years later in this film was nothing different to how he played it when he did the original Star Wars movies. Unfortunately, we don't get much of him, which I think actually might... No, that's not the part. Yeah, we don't get much of Luke Skywalker, even though the movie kind of promotes it as like... Well, it actually doesn't promote it as him. I would say the poster maybe would promote it more as he is one of the main figures of the film, which he totally is. But when you look at the film as a whole, he's really only in, I want to say 50% of the movie. I did like Mark Hamill. I did like his performance in this. Yes, he is only in 50% of the movie. Maybe not even 50%. Maybe it's like, it's either a little less or a little more. But, you know, he's not the main focus in the film anymore. It's not about him or the others. It's about the new generation, the new characters. So that would kind of make sense. But I did really enjoy his performance. I did like him in the movie. I'm a sucker when it comes to actors and actresses returning to roles they used to play. So I get pretty excited with this stuff. And yeah, at this time I did see the original trilogy, so I was able to connect a little more with Luke in this film. Another thing that I really enjoyed is that we got a little more of Poe. I don't know the name of the actor who plays Poe in the film, so I'm just going to call him by his character name. But in The Force Awakens, yeah, we saw Poe. He was in the beginning of the film, and he was at the end of the film, and a little part near the end of the film. But there was a big chunk of the film where he just was absent from it. It was mostly just... Think of it like a cake, I guess. Like a square cake. Take out a really big piece of the middle of the cake. That's how much Poe was absent from that film. That is a horrible connection. What? Yeah. Yeah, why... What is that metaphor supposed to mean? Why did I connect it to cake? I mean, I guess I understand it. You take a big chunk of the cake out and there's basically no cake. Alright, Poe is cake. I get what I mean, though. Poe was not in The Force Awakens a lot. He was only in the beginning, somewhat of the semi-middle, towards more the end of the film. But he does play a pretty big prominent role in this film. So I was very happy to see that we did connect with this character a little bit more, and we were able to learn a little more about his character and even his purpose. Essentially, it gave us a reason why we should care about this character. Why would I connect him to cake? Here's another big spoiler if you didn't see the film. Yoda shows up. That's pretty cool. I didn't expect him to see... When I first saw that earlier this week, I genuinely jumped. And I was kind of sad that it was just Yoda. I thought maybe Obi-Wan could have also made an appearance, and Anakin Skywalker, and even Han Solo, because apparently when you die in Star Wars, you just become a ghost figure. But Yoda was the only one that showed up. I mean, he's not in it very long. If I had to estimate how much screen time he got a good, like, 5 minutes. I don't think any more than that. I'm gonna assume 5 minutes. Because he's just only in one scene. He's in, like, the middle of the film, and I think that was pretty cool that they brought him back, because he was a big part of Star Wars. I really liked Yoda in the film. I liked Frank Oz coming back into the role, playing this character. Sure, it was a very small appearance, but I really enjoyed seeing that character again. Yeah, it would have been really great if we saw Obi-Wan come back, and Han Solo even. It would have been really great to see him in this film. Seeing Anakin Skywalker in any shape or form would have just been amazing in this film. or any of the films, honestly, but we didn't get that. I'll take Yoda. I like Yoda. Kylo Ren had a big story plot in this film. First off, I had a little hard time understanding who the main villain of this film was. The Force Awakens, it was Kylo Ren. I think this one, it was Snoke. But it could have also been Kylo Ren. Who really knows? But there's a little plot with Kylo Ren as, like... what's weird is he's got, like, a little connection with Rey. Like, they're able to, like, see each other, but not their surroundings. Some kind of force link that Snoke put them on. Which doesn't even make sense, because after Snoke died... Sorry. Like, they were still able to do it. And it's like, if Snoke was the one that... Like, wouldn't it go away if he died? Like, I don't understand that at all. I did like Kylo Ren. I think he was a pretty good villain throughout this trilogy. His connection with Rey is a little confusing. I'll agree with that still. I'm still a little confused why they were connected. It may explain why they were connected in The Rise of Skywalker. Maybe they even explained it in this one. But I did not catch it. I think I'm even going to mention it at some point. But the fight that happens in the Red Room with Kylo and Snoke is there and Rey, that whole scene itself was pretty epic. I'll give the film that. The fighting in this film was phenomenal. And the last thing that I would have to say is... really good in the film is there were a lot of intense parts. There were a number of things that had me jumping out of my seat. I think the fights were pretty cool. Not all of them, but some of them were. I like the fury Kylo Ren had. And yeah, that's really everything I found good about The Last Jedi. Alright, well that's what I liked about the film. Now let's take a look to see what I didn't like about the film back then. And I can already tell you, I kind of know what the first one's going to be, because I was pretty upset with this. Number 1, Carrie Fisher. Yeah, this still holds up. I'm sure we're all aware of the tragedy that happened with Carrie Fisher last year. You know, it was sad. And I actually remember I was in a room with my friends when it happened, and my one friend was like a really big fan of her, so I know she was deeply upset. That whole tragedy just happened way too fast, and it was awful. Of course, that got all the Star Wars fans very concerned about their movie. They wanted to know what would happen in Episode 8, and now they want to know what's going to happen in Episode 9. I remember the creators put out that Carrie had filmed all of her scenes for The Last Jedi, so she was wrapped. Okay, that's fine. I saw the movie. I want to be very honest with you. I expected her to die in the film. Carrie Fisher, God bless her soul, she did a great job in these films. And I think her performance in The Rise of Skywalker was great. But I think the scene where she drifted off into space, I think that would have been a perfect end for her. I think that would have for sure been a very heart-wrenching moment, if that's even the right word. That would have been the best scene to kill her off in. Because the way that she comes back is really weird, and I still don't even understand it. She just is Superman now. I like what they did with her character going forward. I like how they just didn't write her out of the film like I feared they were going to do. Like, say, oh, Leia passed away in those credits that you see in the beginning. I'm glad they didn't do that. And I'm glad they did bring justice and did kill her character off later in the film. I do wish, though, that this was where she met her end. Only just because it was very fitting and I was expecting her to die. But we got that instead. And we got Purple Lady. Did I talk about that? Did I mention Purple Lady in this? I don't think I mentioned Purple Lady. I did not like the Purple Lady. I don't even know what her name is. And I don't care what her name is. I did not like her. Some other things that I don't like in the film, there's the scene with Luke Skywalker and Kylo Ren as they fight. I brought that up a while ago. I like that Kylo Ren was more in action, but I was disappointed Luke wasn't. I mean, all Luke did was like kind of defend himself. We never really got to see a full-on war with the lightsabers. And then just to find out that Luke is a hologram, he was kind of just like projecting himself from the island that he was on. That was kind of crappy. I did like the fight. I liked the fight scene between Luke and Kylo Ren. I really enjoyed that. I think it was extremely badass. But it was essentially ruined when I found out he wasn't actually there and he was just a hologram. That kind of ruined it for me. And I mentioned it earlier when I was talking about Mark Hamill in the film, how he's just meditating throughout that whole entire bit. He's using the Force and he's projecting a hologram of himself there. I kind of wish he was actually there. I still don't understand why he was meditating throughout that thing, and the whole idea that he just vanishes away when that's over with. That he just dies. I can't really get behind that. I think that could have been done a lot better. But it happened. Also, something that I kind of have a problem with. The movie was about two and a half hours. And the scenes just like went on and on. I honestly think maybe the movie should have stopped when everything started getting intense. Like when Finn and Rose were about to die, and as the people on the ship with Leia and Poe, they didn't know what to do, and the whole scene with Kylo Ren and Rey fighting over the lightsaber just staying in the sky, just floating in the air. I think maybe it should have just ended on that point. It did feel a bit long. I'll give it that much. The film did feel like it was dragging a bit. I guess it was because I really wasn't enjoying myself so much when I was watching this one. Like, there were bits where I was excited, but then I got really bored, and I just kind of wanted it to end. What did I say? It should have stopped. It should have stopped when Luke was about to start fighting. I mean, also thinking about it now, Star Wars is not the kind of film series that would just end on a cliffhanger. It would, but not in the sense of, like, you know, a Marvel film, or... Oh, come on, what films... Back to the Future. We'll use that. Back to the Future. It doesn't end on a cliffhanger like those films. It ends the story, but you know there's going to be a continuation because there's something else that needs to happen that didn't get answered in this film. So it doesn't really do that in these films. So ending it with Luke about to start his fight, I can't really see that happening anymore. I think the way it ended was fine. It's just bits that happened in the film that I'm not fine with. And I said this about another movie. I don't actually think I talked about it. No, I saw Guardians of the Galaxy 2, and this was a similar problem with that movie. There were a lot of different stories going on in this film. Like, you had the whole incident with, like, Rey and Luke, and then Luke had his own little problem, but Rey had her own little problem. And then Kylo Ren had his own little problem, but was also connected to Rey, and Finn had something going on with Rose, and BB-8 was dragged along with that, and Poe's got an issue, and Leia's got an issue. There were a lot of things going on in this film. Guardians of the Galaxy 2 is a great film, so I would not compare it to Guardians of the Galaxy 2. Let's never compare Star Wars to Marvel ever again, okay? Past me. Can we do that? Please? The last thing I have a problem with is Rey's parents. They were playing it up that Rey's parents were going to be, like, special people. We never really saw Rey's parents. I kind of expected them to be, like, maybe a character in the film. Like, maybe repeat something that happened in the Star Wars series already with, like, Darth Vader being Luke's father, you know. Maybe not repeat it exactly like that, but at least have a connection with another character. Give us, like, a big, shocking surprise that we don't see coming, like a plot twist that nobody sees coming. Don't just say, like, they were nothing. You know, that doesn't sound pretty good. The Rey's parents comment does still bother me. I know now we know who Rey is and her connection with all of this. But the comment that her parents were nothing, like, what a slap in the face that was. Imagine they did nothing with that arc. That would have been just so disappointing and on so many levels. I didn't talk about it much in this, but the casino bit in this film, the casino scenes and the character of Rose herself, I don't really like those either. The more I've analyzed them and I've rewatched it, I don't really like those. I think the casino scene can completely come out. And Rose was just extremely annoying throughout the film. I'm very glad that her character was toned down a little bit in The Rise of Skywalker. So those were my thoughts on The Last Jedi. Obviously they aren't so different now. If you couldn't guess, I'm not a big fan of The Last Jedi. If I had to rank the new trilogy, it would definitely be The Force Awakens being number 1, only because it was my first Star Wars film, and I did think it was really good. In second place, I would have Rise of Skywalker, and third place would be The Last Jedi. Real quick, I would like to just give my little thought on The Rise of Skywalker. I do think it was okay. There were bits I like, and there were bits I did not like. I'm not going to go into the whole entire thing right now, because we could be here for hours. I will say that because I am a sucker for characters coming back in stories, I was pretty excited to see the Emperor come back. That being said, do I think he needed to come back? Not really, but it was great to see him. I think there were a lot of things that were done right in this film. They were definitely better than The Last Jedi, but I also felt like The Last Jedi was such a mess that The Rise of Skywalker had to kind of mop it all up and fix things that didn't make sense. So that's what I felt about The Rise of Skywalker, and that ending, when I tell you how frustrated I was to not see any other dead characters show up at the ending, I really wish they had done that. Rey is the granddaughter of the Emperor, so that's where she connects, which I did not see coming at all. I expected her to be the daughter, but no, let's take it another step further and make her the granddaughter. Overall, Star Wars is just a story about a complicated family tree in a galaxy far, far away a long time ago. The Mandalorian is really good. That is my favorite Star Wars thing at the moment. So I hope you had fun with this. That's all I gotta say. What did you think about The Last Jedi? What did you think about everything I said back then and now? What do you think about it? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. Thanks again for checking out this episode of Rewild. That kind of contradicted my outro a little bit. That's all I got for today. I'll see you next week for another Rewild. Thanks for checking out The Wild Review. I'm The Wild Reviewer, and you just saw me review a thing on Rewild. I had it, and I messed it up again. I need a better outro.
Wild like wild.